Hey Graham, how you doing? Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey Bart.
How are
Hey
you?
Bart. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, very, very busy, just like you are. But
That's
the
right.
busy days are the most rewarding days, right? You have that
You
feeling that
got it. Those are my
everything,
favorite days, right? I don't want to sit around and not do anything. I want to have something to do.
when I have nothing to do, I always feel so useless. It feels like, oh damn, I wasted the day. I could have done something. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's
But
right. Well, we're forging ahead and we're making progress and we have a lot of things on our plate and we're knocking them out, right?
no, we are.
Yeah.
I always have that feeling when I'm in bed at like 2, 3 a.m. and then I have to wake up at like 8, 9. But I always have this feeling like, wow, it was another productive day. I've
That's
given it
right.
my all, and that's the best feeling that there is. So yeah, we can't
That's right.
complain. We can't complain. Hey, let me go over, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of administrative things, because obviously we saw yesterday a huge price increase in the ESX token, which was amazing to see, guys. Pretty, we've done the normal regulator marketing, as we always, keep continuously doing, with KOLs posting that have invested and that we have partnerships with, obviously our partners, the business development stuff, etc., etc. But this huge price increase was just a very organic thing, which is amazing to see, that it happened so organically. And yesterday, like I think 30 hours ago, we were in a situation where the floor was around dot 14. And at the moment, we're sitting at 24 already. So that's a huge price increase. And we had, I think, a floor settled around 2 cents, which is very, very good. So yeah, great to see that, guys. I think we have a lot of momentum and a lot of wave, and Graham is here to put another stamp on that today. So yeah, very much looking forward. Also, a quick update about the staking pools and the NFT rewards. Obviously, we will be releasing more info about the NFT rewards very, very soon. And also another great utility for the NFT rewards, but we're releasing the NFT rewards together with the launch of the staking pools, so we can mitigate the sell pressure, and people, who've seen the results that we have, the momentum that we have, the business pillars that we're now releasing, how active we are, and the momentum that we have, to make sure we can mitigate that sell pressure, keep the chart going in the right direction, provide the best solution for everybody, so it's in the best interest of everybody, the company, the chart, but also for our investors, obviously. And I think it's a great moment to launch that at the same time. And obviously, we've seen at launch a couple of hiccups with these claiming portals and third parties. So Graham is here to alleviate anyone's worries. We're not going to work with third parties anymore. Everything is going to be done in-house, all led by Graham, all finalized by Graham, done by Graham, to make sure we can ensure the highest standards of security, the highest standards of the tech that we always strive to have. So Graham, please enlighten the EstateX family about what you've been working on with the staking pools.
Sure, absolutely. So, like Bart said, I'd just like to reiterate, it was basically an externally isolated third party, right, that was responsible for this. And it was just a minor little glitch. Since then, it's been resolved. I'm looking over it. We got other guys looking over it. And the reason the staking pools are down is simply because, as a precautionary measure, there was nothing wrong with the staking pools. We didn't have any inkling to suspect there was anything wrong, but we decided to basically disable things and do a thorough security review. Nothing was found. And as Bart said, going forward in the future, everything's going to be internally handled, right? So all these roles and responsibilities are going to be handled by internally facing positions going forward in the future. So I think there's a lot of importance to that. I think it allows our investors to breathe easy. It allows for us to have a more granularity of control over everything, to implement security features and protocols. We're in the process of going through this kind of large-scale security upgrade across the entire organization. And to do that diligently, like it should be done, things have to have a certain level of control. And to establish that control, they have to be internally facing positions. So as Bart said, that's the role we are heading to go towards, and that is what is going to be occurring on the implementation standpoint. I guess I would say that, besides very stringent audits of code, what we have done so far on any type of application that is facing outside is we've implemented more advanced logging mechanisms and monitoring procedures. And we have also upgraded our WAF, Web Application Firewall rule set, to better lock everything down and handle more edge cases that might slip around. But like Bart said, we're on it. We got it covered. And I think we're off to a good path and a good way forward.
100%, 100%. And also speaking about when are the staking pools going live, Graham has been working very, very diligently on it to make sure that, we're not 100% in order, but we're 200% in order. Better be safe than sorry. And as Graham always says, only the paranoid survive these days.
That's the truth, Bart. You have to be 100% on top of it, right? And, it's a very unforgiving business, and we have to be extremely cognizant of all the threats that are out there and make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's, and better safe than sorry. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So I'll hand it back over to you, Bart.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, you're paranoid until you're not, and it actually happens. About the date for the staking pools. The staking pools will go live this week. We'll announce the date soon when we're going to release that together with the update about the NFTs and the utility, etc. So an update on that will follow very, very shortly. All right. Obviously mentioned a little bit about staking pools. Then let's move on to the next subject, which is obviously the EstateX blockchain. I know we've done an AMA the day before our launch, which we went in depth about the blockchain. But I think a lot of people have missed that, because since then our community has grown exponentially. Very large investor database, so many new faces. So if you're new and you don't know Graham yet, welcome to the live stream. Graham is our superstar CTO. I've never met someone that's such a tech wizard as Graham, and I say that with all love. And I'm sure that after the next 20-30 minutes, you're completely on the same page with me. So let's dive into the EstateX blockchain. So obviously, Graham, first things first, testnet is live July 16th, which is in 17 days. However, obviously, people are dying to know, that are new, what is the long-term vision of the EstateX blockchain? How do you see that? And could you summarize one more time just the unique task aspects that we have and where we will grow into within a year, 2 years time?
Sure. Well, I think it's important to realize that the entire goal of creating our own blockchain is to provide a complete RWA ecosystem, kind of using a vertical approach to functional implementation, right? So our partners they have certain requirements. They demand a comprehensive solution. So our technical capabilities, they have to match those use case requirements, right? So I think we can kind of summarize kind of what we're going towards and our whole overall vision in about 3 different points, right? So the first point is basically providing technical capabilities to facilitate regulatory compliance in regards to tokenization across jurisdictional boundaries, right? So eliminating that friction and allowing for us to basically establish those specific use cases for each specific jurisdiction and make sure we handle all those different jurisdictional rules in a legally compliant manner for everyone involved, right? Whether that's people listing RWA assets or people buying RWA assets, right? The second thing we're working towards for our overall vision is enabling frictionless free tokenization across all real world asset classes, right? So like I said last time, you go on the EstateX website, all it says is real estate, right? It's a very important market segment we're going towards, right? It's been the main one, and it still will continue to be the main one going forward. But also, why not capitalize upon our other real world assets, right? That would be foolish on our part to neglect those different target use cases. So as we build out the blockchain ecosystem, we're going to build that out so that we can accommodate all these other RWA asset classes. What this basically means is developing RWA token standards, almost using an object-oriented approach to design and functionality, right? Where we establish one token standard, we can then build and expand upon that, where one token standard will inherit traits from another token standard. And really we can kind of establish a very strong, comprehensive foundation to then build all these RWA token standards off of. So what you will see going forward is the establishment of that foundation and then the iterative process of expanding the coverage of RWA assets using that very strong foundation to build upon. I would say the third point that we want to mention here, Bart, is basically an architectural design which allows for a truly permissionless and fully decentralized RWA ecosystem capable of providing massive parallelization, right? So this kind of has a twofold benefit for everyone involved. It provides a fully inclusive network, right, to help us bootstrap adoption while simultaneously providing the substantial resources that are needed for full-scale RWA processing, especially considering what I said previously, that we're not just focusing on real estate, it's the entire plethora of all RWA assets, and we need to be sure that we can fulfill the wants of people that want to participate in the network while also fulfilling the needs and requirements of third-party integrators and partners.
Yeah, and I think what makes the ESX blockchain so unique is because obviously we've received a lot of questions from people like, why are you starting your own L1 chain? And the answer is very, very simply, it's not just to create an L1 chain just for the sake of it. It's because we've experienced the inefficiencies when executing tokenization ourselves, right? That's where it comes from. And there's not really one chain. Obviously, there are chains that are for RWAs that can facilitate RWAs, but that's something very, very different than optimized for RWAs, right? So if you tokenize on Ethereum, gas fees could be way too high, making 24/7 tradable on the secondary marketplace, for example, not useful anymore. Or some regulated parties, if you're working with a registrar, cannot support other chains that are less functional or less known. Some token standards are not compliant with certain geographical areas, and that's why it's not optimized. So there's always some issue with some chain that we've experienced ourselves. And then it's obviously a matter of, are you going to pick something that's like a 7 out of 10, or you're going to develop the 10 out of 10 yourselves, utilize that, and make sure that it also adds to company value, company growth, and being able to be that all-in-one RWA 40, right? Where we have everything for the investment platform side of things for institutional investors, but also retail investors. But also on the other hand, if you're an RWA project, you're a builder, you're in the institutions, the ones that get their assets on chain, we have that for you. We have everything for anyone regarding RWAs. And I think our L1 chain is a very, very big component in that, considering that what we want to execute, what other chains don't have, obviously, and what we are developing are these unique token standards for different asset classes, but also for geographical areas, like Graham said, to make sure that it's all everywhere legally compliant. It's the regulated tokenization under the EWPG, the German Electronic Securities Act, being able to prove ownership of an asset on chain. Those are things that we can facilitate. What else? A fast, reliable chain, high throughput. Being able to let our investors participate into it through node validation, etc., creating that decentralized but also very unique all-in-one RWA platform that we have. And then obviously that's from the technical components, and I'm sure Graham will dive into the technical components and the unique comparisons towards other chains a little bit later. But also on the commercial side, being able to offer the white label technology for projects and institutions that build on the chain, being able to offer the legal framework where people don't have to go through years of regulation processes. They can tap into ours. The fact that we have the network and the launchpad now to raise and to do community building for RWA projects, specifically focused on one niche, which is RWA, making or letting EstateX grow into that authority. So I think those are some components that make us very unique. Graham, sorry, I've been rattling on a little bit, but is there anything that you would like to add to the technical components on that?
Well, I would just say, kind of to expand upon what you said, Bart, why compromise? We find ourselves here in a very unique position, right? We have the means, we have the capabilities internally, we have the third-party integrators and businesses that need it. So why compromise, right? And the entire goal is to create something that is 110% regulatory compliant, right? Quite frankly, that's our only option. All these integrators, all these businesses, they demand it. We have to provide for it. We have the capabilities to do it. And honestly, that is the best way to progress forward. We could try to stick, a round peg in a square hole. We could try to do that, and we could try to do some type of half measure. But from my experience and Bart's experience, half measures I don't think lead anywhere, right? They might get you halfway there, but they don't get you the whole way. And it is really worth investing the time and the intellectual capabilities, which we have in-house, to develop this out, right? And I think the technical benefits that you will see later will really justify the expenditure of that intellect to come up with these solutions. So I guess that's what I would add to that, Bart.
Amazing. All right, then let's dive into the testnet, which is upcoming July 16th. Graham, just obviously I know it, but for the people, how is the development going so
Sure.
far? Are we still on track for the 16th? Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, absolutely. We are on track for the 16th. It's good news, right? Right now, what we're doing is we're doing basically performance testing and benchmarking to kind of to validate our architectural design and to make sure that things are running properly. It's very exciting, and I think you guys are going to be very happy when we go live here.
Amazing, amazing. And speaking about that, obviously a lot of people have been interested in being able to participate on the testnet, to contribute to the development, to see if there are any potential errors. How are people able to participate from July 16th onwards and contribute to the testnet and eventually development of mainnet?
Sure, absolutely. Well, this kind of leads back into my previous question. Right now we're going through benchmarking and performance testing, and the entire goal here, as I highlighted earlier, was to make sure that we have a fully permissionless, open system where many, many people can participate. Right? We don't want it to be exclusionary. We want it to be inclusionary. We want to be able to include everyone. Right? So basically, what we're going to be doing shortly after testnet launch is publishing minimum node requirements on what type of hardware requirements you will need to run a node to help us support the network and help us bootstrap the testnet up. And then later on, when mainnet goes live, there will be another set of minimum requirements that you will need to be able to meet to participate in consensus.
Great news. So great news for the interested community members. You can participate to the development and contribute to the development of the EstateX blockchain. And we'll announce about that, also within the coming weeks when we're nearing the July 16th date. So very, very excited about that. So, Graham, just another question. Obviously we've touched upon it a little bit, but it would be great if you can expand more into the depth with this. If you look at competitors, obviously, what do you think makes the EstateX tech unique? And it's no problem at all if you just repeat what you've already said or summarize it, but just to be completely clear for the people, what do you think the EstateX blockchain makes it unique and more advanced than what competitors have on the market currently for RWAs?
Well, I'll give everybody listening a few more little hints that I didn't give last time. Okay, so I know they'll be happy with that. Now, we can't give away too much because we don't want to give our competitors an advantage here. But I will tell you this: the way we are building out our blockchain, we're doing it in a manner that's basically it's going to have a superior modular architecture, which will allow us to implement RWA specific palette functionality. Okay. So we're kind of breaking the ground on innovating this RWA functionality and technology. It will allow us to provide higher efficiency and more power for RWA-specific transactions and transactional throughput. So we're doing this in the whole theory and in the whole spirit of what I said previously. Why compromise, right? Why compromise when we can build out this specific functionality? We can palletize it, and we can offer it to, we can offer it to the community. We can offer it to our third-party integrators, and they can benefit from that increased performance by doing that. Something else that I might want to mention here, another little tidbit of highlight for you guys is, some of our competitors, they use IBC. Some of them use Layer 0, which if you really understand those technologies, you realize that it doesn't really allow for true parallel independent execution, right? So we're designing our architecture to be massively parallel. It's built on a framework which allows for concurrent execution, and this allows us to massively scale to accommodate the high transactional requirements demanded by our third-party integrators and partners.
Amazing, amazing. And you mentioned also something on the last AMA, because obviously we spoke about it then briefly about the different, where we want to grow into with the different L1 chains for different verticals, and then it's unified by a layer 0.
Layer 0.
Could you elaborate a little bit on that? If we're
sure.
looking 2-3 years in the future,
Mm-hmm.
what do we have then? How does the ESX blockchain look like? Because obviously we have unique technical components, like we have the token standards, we have the regulated tokenization under the German Electronic Securities Act, we have the a fast and reliable chain. What else is going to make the ESX blockchain so unique? And would you like to elaborate on the different L1 chains and how that's all going to be working together?
Sure. So I can kind of give you some highlights to that. I can't give away all the highlights because we don't want our competitors to know, but I'll give you kind of a general overview. So it's a very interesting question. But in about 2 or 3 years, what you are going to see is you will of course see jurisdictional segregation in your L1s, right? But then getting down deeper, underneath the jurisdictional level, you're going to see functional segregation between the different L1s. So you will see specific RWA functionality on one independent L1 chain. You might see potentially KYC or identity using ZK proofs on another L1 chain, right? So segregated functionality underneath the segregated jurisdictional components also, right? So you'll have multiple different L1 chains in one jurisdiction, but also you'll have multiple jurisdictions too. Now, what this allows us to do is on the functional level, when we need to increase performance and throughput, we simply spin up another L1 that has that same functionality, right? And with concurrent execution, like I previously elaborated upon, we will be able to massively scale, irregardless of how many integrators we have, right? And by doing so, we also are able to keep it open for everyone to use without ridiculously high gas fees. Like right now with Ethereum, it's basically unfeasible for the average person to use it, right? Now, the L2s that they've come out with, that helps, right? But honestly, with our system, it's the best of both worlds. We get massive throughput through massive parallelization with low transactional fees, right? And also, the beauty of this is the more L1s you have, the more demand you have, the more demand you will have for the native transactional token, which, as everyone knows, is ESX.
And why just not choose just a one L1 chain? Because obviously the testnet, the mainnet is going to be starting with just a base chain. Mm-hmm. But why just not choose one L1 chain to do it?
Well, you can for a short period of time, but when you get a lot of people using it, how are you going to satisfy those transactional requirements? You can't, right? So that is the main impetus behind that design decision.
Got you. So it's just a way more efficient way to be able to facilitate throughput, to facilitate the different asset classes, to
handle demand, and the different functionalities, right?
Yeah. So basically, to summarize, also all the different 1L chains are basically a little bit different, optimized for the asset class or where it's used for, or the
specific functionality that we're going for with that L1 chain, right? So they're not just carbon copy clones of each other, right? They're tailored specifically for certain needs.
Yeah, makes sense. Got you. All right, perfect. And also, ladies and gentlemen, what I think what also makes EstateX so unique is, the ecosystem is about to be rolled out. Our chain is about to go to testnet. You will hear news about the first property offering in the EU soon. Steve Craigs is currently has some very, very interesting options on the table. Also, we have an amazing team at the moment, and imagine the momentum that we have, the backing that we have, but also the community that we have at this stage. But imagine where we will be in a year's time, years and a half time, 2 years time, with all the foundations that we already have in place. And I think what is so beautiful about this is, and I've said this many times, also during the pre-listing phase, where we spoke with lots of exchanges, lots of Web3 parties, and they're all saying, okay, but you're an L1 chain. You have this vision with different L1s and a layer zero settlement system, etc. Why do not launch on 150 million FTV? Why not launch on 100 million FTV? Obviously, we've crossed that mark now already. But, the fact that we've launched on the 20.6 million FTV and still are sitting at around the $50 million market cap for an L1 chain that's upcoming and where it grows into with all the unique aspects that we have fully optimized. And then together with the all-in-one ecosystem, the RWA Launchpad, the incubation package, the legal framework that institutions and also RWA projects can tap into, the fact that we have all the tech as white label technology, asset management, investment platforms, but also, on the blockchain, optimized for tokenization, the token standards for different geographical areas, for different types of asset classes to facilitate that. Very fast, very reliable. Obviously, the ZK KYC, all done on chain, GDPR proof in a way more efficient way. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to summarize, with a $50 million market cap and a relatively low FTV that we launched on, we're still very, very early, guys. Like, everything is still about to happen. If you think that you've seen it yet in the past 2 weeks, you're very, very mistaken. You're very, very mistaken, because everything is still yet to happen, which makes this so extremely exciting for the position that we're in at the moment. And I can't wait until testnet. I can't wait until testnet. So it's gonna be great. Graham, any closing remarks for the people and something that you want to, express a message to them?
Well, I think, you highlighted on this the other day, Bart, and I think I'll just reiterate it. This company fundamentally, it's, we will thrive by being a technical company and by being technically proficient. And that is our goal. And that is what we have built out. And that is what we are working to build out and expand upon. And as the company grows and as our technical capabilities grow with it, I think you are going to see some really, really very interesting innovations come out of this company. And I know from what Bart and I have talked about privately, and we can't give it away because we can't give it to our competitors, but what we've talked about privately, there are things that, nobody's heard of them before. It's brand new innovation. And, this is what I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy, using my intellectual capabilities to design technically innovative solutions. And as Bart and I, we talk all the time, we're hiring guys on, and we are really trying to get the best of the best here, right? We could just go out and hire anybody, right? That'd be easy to do, right? But we are taking time and we are finding guys and talent that are truly, that can bring something to the table, right? And can help us implement all these technical innovations that we have planned out. And I think give us some time here and you're going to see some really amazing things come out of this company.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Graham. Really appreciate your time. I know you're very, very busy, so we all appreciate you taking time out of the very hectic EstateX schedule to inform all the investor base. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I love doing it. I love talking to everybody. And Bart, anytime.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them. I'm happy to pass on any message to Graham. If you guys have any questions about the tech and whatnot, obviously you guys are aware of me. I'm always active in the community, so you guys see me around. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in, and I wish you a great rest of the day. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.